Okay, on this video, I'm going to show you how to graph a piecewise function. These are just going to be one line. A lot of times on the problems you'll do, you'll have two different lines. On your Delta Math assignment, you had some ones that had two lines. So, okay, this is how I would start. If you are graphing this normally, you'd go up to 2 and draw your dot, and your slope would be 1 over 1. So up 1 over 1. And then you would connect them, and the line would go on forever in both directions. But we only want to do the part of the graph that's less than or equal to 1. So x is 1, you come up here, so that would start there, and so we only want the part that's less than 1, so that would be like the left side of 1. So here's x equals 1. We don't want the part that's greater than 1, we want the x's that are less than 1. So if you thought of that as plotting points, you'd have 1, 0, -1, -2, and so on. So that would be how you would do that. Now, I would probably start, instead of doing the whole thing and erasing it, I would probably take 1 and plug it in for x, and you would get 3. Y is equal to 1 plus 2, so it would equal 3. So you'd have the point 1, 3. And then my slope is 1, so I would go this direction. So that's how I'll do number 2. Okay, over here, I'm going to plug 0 in for x, so y equals 1/2 times 0 plus 1, so that's 0 plus 1, which is 1. So I started with x equals 0, I got y equals 1, so I'm going to plot the point 0, 1. Now I'm going to put an open dot here, and I'll go back and explain the difference. The slope then is 1/2, so you normally would go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, but we only want the x's that are less than 0, so we want these over here. So I'm going to go down 1 to the left 2, down 1 to the left 2, so you still see it's still a positive slope, but it stops at 0, because this is my stopping point or starting point. It's the side of the graph. It doesn't go on forever both directions. Now this had an open circle. If you have less than or greater than, you're going to have an open circle. This one had less than or equal to, so it had a closed dot. So less than or equal to, greater than or equal to is going to have a closed dot. So you need to remember that when you're graphing these. Okay, so let's go down here to this one. I would start by plugging in a -2. So y, I'm going to write it down here where I've got more room. So y is equal to -1/2 x, which is -2, plus 1. -1/2 times -2 is +1, plus 1 gives me 2. So I plugged in -2 for x, I got +2 for y, so I'm going to plot the point -2, +2. And I'm going to put a closed dot on it because it has a line under it. Then the slope is -1/2. I want the things that are greater than -2, so that's these x's over here. I want the right-hand side of the graph. So this has a -1/2 slope, so down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2. So that's what it would look like. So you just have half of a line. Over here on number 4, I'm going to start with -4. So y equals -7/4 times x, which is -4, minus 5. So -4 divided by 4 is -1. 1 times 7 is 7. And a negative times a negative is a positive. Then minus 5, so 7 minus 5 is 2. So I started with x is -4. I got 2 for my y, so I'm going to plot the point -4, 2. So you come up here, -4, +2 is right there. I want an open circle because it's just greater than. And then my slope is -7/4. 1, 2, 3, and I want to go on the right side. It's greater than, so I want everything greater than -4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4. So my graph would go through that point. So again, you're just graphing half of a line. Okay, so hopefully that will get you started. On your assignment, you'll have 2 lines. So let me I better do one like that. So let's say you have y equals, and then it'll have a parentheses to show you two equations. So let's say we have 2x, where x is greater than or equal to 1, and x minus 3, where x is less than 1. Okay? So let me get some graph paper. So here's my y-axis, here's my x-axis. So if I start at 1 and I plug it in, y is equal to 2 times 1, so y is equal to 2. So I plugged in 1, I got 2. So I'm going to plot the point 1, 2, and I'm going to have a closed dot because it's greater than or equal to 1. Then this is everything to the right of 1, so I'm going to graph over here, and my slope is 2. So up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1. So my graph is going to look like that. Now this one has two parts to it. So everything less than 1, I'm going to use this equation. So if I plug in 1 for this equation, y is equal to 1 minus 3, so I get negative 2. So I'm going to plot the point 1, negative 2, and I'm going to put an open circle because it's just less than, and then this has a slope of 1 over 1. So that would be a positive slope like this. So, but I'm not going to graph over here because I already have a graph over it. This is less than 1, so this is to graph the left side of it. So it's going to go down 1 over 1 on each side. So this whole thing together is the graph of this equation. So again, to translate what this means, if you have y equals that bracket, it basically means y equals 2x and y equals x minus 3. Then this tells you where to graph it. X greater than or equal 1 means graph all of this on the right side of x equals 1. X is less than 1 means on the left side of x equals 1. So that's just what that means, okay? So it'll take some getting used to, but you can graph those lines.